It is well past time that we had a tarot deck haul on this channel. I have recently had a birthday, so I've got some new goodies, I've got some decks, I've got a couple of books, and today I'm going to share with you what is new on my desk. First up is a deck combo that you have actually already seen on this channel. This is the Scion Tarot and Scion Sigils deck. I will link the review that I did on these if you haven't already seen it. I'll keep this brief because I do have quite a long video about these, but basically I am in love with the art style. I really love the idea behind them. I really adore the court cards in this deck. I think the court cards in this deck are so cool, and I really do implore you to go watch that video if you haven't already seen it. I think this is a really cool deck or pair of decks that deserve a lot of love. The sigils deck is something that's entirely new to my collection. I do not already have a sigils deck. I know there are a few on the market, but this is my first, and I'm excited to dig into it a little bit. I love how these two cards really mirror each other, even though they are different, referencing different major arcana. So this is obviously the Tower and then Solitude here. I forget exactly which major arcana card this sigil is based on, but I know it's not this one because the background colors are different. But I really enjoy how they mirror each other all the same. I'm really excited to dig a little bit more into these decks. I think the cardstock is gorgeous. I think the illustrations are a gorgeous homage to Pamela Coleman-Smith's artwork. Like I say, the court cards are really cool. I think it is a really good take on like a feminine deck. I know there's a lot of decks that are supposed to be feminist or sort of empowering feminine archetypes, and a lot of the time I'm pretty unconvinced. But this I think is interesting. This I think has put some real thought into things and is actually doing a bit of a interesting take. So that is the Scion decks pair. I have also recently acquired the Fountain Tarot, which has been on my wish list for, as long as I can remember. Longer than I've been actually reading with tarot, or rather longer than I've been collecting decks. This deck has been on my wish list. So the Fountain Tarot, very pleased to finally have it in my hands on my shelves. And this deck was a little bit of self-bribery. I had an awful lot of work to do in September and the very beginning of October. And this deck was my like treat for, if I do the tasks, I get the treats. This deck was the treat. So it worked. As we can see, I've got the deck in my hands, which means I did all of the tasks and I got to open this deck. I have not really played with this yet. In fact, that's true of all the decks in this video. Everything's pretty new to my collection. Everything has come in the last month or so. I've had a little flurry of decks. I've been really discerning and really minimal about what I bring into my collection this year. There's been a bit of a drought of new tarot decks, which is a good thing because my collection was getting a little bit, starting to feel a little bit overwhelming. So I really slowed down the decks that I've brought in to my collection. But of course, like I say, I just had a birthday. So most of what I'm about to show you, in fact, the rest of what I'm about to show you was birthday gifts from some lovely people. This deck, like I say, was a bribing myself to get some work done. Here we have the Fountain is the like bonus card that comes with this deck. I'm really excited to get to work with this. I've not read with this yet at all. I love these majors. I wanted this deck for so long, and it's really interesting to finally have it in my hands because I've always thought of this as kind of a wintry, not cold deck, but kind of abstracted, removed sort of a deck. I love this Eight of Wands. I love the there's a lot of like geometry. There's a lot of interesting like lines. I do mean literally lines like here in the Temperance card, but just the kind of composition is really interesting. And there's just something about it. And I think I'm definitely going to try and reach for this in winter. This card in particular really reminds me of the Thoth. Like it feels a little bit Thothy in the imagery, because it's all geometry and lines. Basically, that's all it takes for me to feel like a deck is Thothy. But obviously it's not pips. It is kind of abstract scenic. And I'm just really interested to see how I get on with it in practice, because it's one of those things, it's actually always a bit of a risk getting a deck that you've wanted for so long, because I have in my mind the idea of like how this deck is going to read, how it's going to feel. Like I say, like I feel like it's going to be wintry, it's going to be a little bit removed, a little bit abstracted. It might not actually read like that. So It'll be really interesting to find out how it reads in practice compared to my kind of expectation. But I do really like the composition. I think it's really, really interesting. And I am looking forward to getting to know it. Let me know if you want a video of any kind about this deck, because, like I say, it is one that I had a lot of expectations about. And it'll be really interesting to see how it performs in practice. If you'd like to hear my thoughts about that kind of expectation to reality process, because I am certain I am not the only one who has had that kind of experience with decks, then let me know and I will whip up a video about that. And from here on out, everything was a birthday gift. I have been, as always, thoroughly spoiled by my family and friends. So first up is the Ethereal Visions Tarot deck. This is the first edition, first iteration of this deck that was created. And I'm pretty sure I've spoken about this on my channel. I may actually have kind of anti-hauled this on my channel at one point, talked myself out of it. But hey, somebody bought it for me for my birthday, so what am I going to do? So I'm really kind of excited to have this in my collection because I just sort of decided I was never going to buy it for myself. So it's really cool that this is now joining me in my collection. I have flipped through this, but I haven't yet even shuffled it, let alone tried to read with it. I love the gold. I love a shiny deck. This is obviously an Art Nouveau inspired art style by Matt Hughes, who's done a few decks. He's done a second iteration of this that I think is called the Lunar edition that has some like silver holographic instead of the gold foiling. And I think it's so pretty. I think it's very, I don't know, I kind of didn't expect it to be so, I was going to say washed out, but I don't mean that in a bad sense. Like it's just quite like muted, desaturated, kind of like, feels like the colors are like worn in, they're like a little bit faded. They're not pastel-y and soft, or at least they don't feel like soft pastels. They feel like they're just desaturated, a little bit kind of faded from the sun almost, is the kind of feeling I'm getting from these colors. I love the detail of the horse on this knight's armor, the fish. Like it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone at the end of the day, and Lord knows I have enough Rider-Waite-Smith clones, but like I say, I'm never going to say no to another pretty deck with some pretty shiny foiling. So this is very cool. I don't have much to say about this except that I am looking forward to using it. And I expect this is one that will kind of slide into rotation fairly easily because it is a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. I don't think there's too much kind of learning and getting to know this deck that needs to be done. Although that said, I will of course dig into the guidebook. I think there's some spreads in there. It says on the box that it's an expanded guidebook edition, which is quite cool because if you know me, you know I love a good guidebook. You know I love a text, a tome to read. So I definitely will have a play with the deck, have a play with the guidebook, but I imagine that this will be a relatively straightforward deck to kind of work into rotation. So that is the Ethereal Visions Tarot. Next up is another tarot deck, and this is so cool. My friends recently went to Paris and to the catacombs, and fun fact about me, I studied archaeology twice at uni actually, and specifically like skeletal archaeology was my thing. So they had all sorts of cool stories to tell me about the catacombs, and they also bought me this little tarot deck. This one has had a shuffle. They came to visit me, and of course we did some readings while they were here. But I think, oh, this is so fun. So it's Pippi, and it reads, or the imagery is like traditional playing cards, but everybody's a little skeleton, which is fun. So those are a couple of kings. This here is our Hierophant. I love these little details on the minors. I just think this is really fun. This is such a fun deck. And of course, because it is like traditional playing cards, this is going to be a good one to kind of travel with because it's very easy to just turn this into a deck of regular playing cards, play some card games. I'm actually just about to go away. As I film this, I have no idea when this is going up, but as I film this, I'm about to go away for 3 weeks with my partner on an honest to God holiday, which is really nice. So very excited. Maybe this is when I'll take with me, and then when we just want to kind of keep ourselves entertained, play some card games, it would be really good for that. There's our Magician. This is interesting because this is 12, so the Hanged Man, but we've got a Scythe. So is this our Death card? Oh no, there's our Death card. We've been hung. Hung, hanged. Anyway, I think this is really fun. It was also just very cool to hear all their stories of the catacombs. I think it's really cool that this is from the catacombs in Paris. Something I really want to visit and go and see. I'm now, of course, thinking I want to do like a whole catacombs tour of Europe. I know there's some in Rome as well, which I think would be cool to visit. But anyway, so this was a really fun little tarot deck from the catacombs of Paris. I love this tower card. I think that's really fun. I think it's skulls, it's skeletons, but it's not creepy. It's kind of fun. Like here are strength. Like it's a little bit cheeky and whimsical. It's not like a spooky, scary skeletons kind of card. So this is our lovers, and we've got two different figures we can see. I think it's the Emperor and the Empress, which I think is a really cool take on the lovers. So yeah, that is the Paris Catacombs tarot deck. The final deck in this little haul is probably the one I'm the most excited about. This is Kim Kranz's Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. This is a deck that has been on my wish list for a hot minute, but I've been putting off buying because I am 90% sure it's going to come out in a pocket edition. So I was holding off until that. But in the meantime, I was like, well, I'll have it on my wish list. If somebody buys it for me for whatever reason, I'm not going to be upset. And lo and behold, my sister got this for me. So I am thrilled. And now, of course, I'm like, I have to get her other deck, right? I have to get her Animal Oracle. But anyway, this is the Alchemy deck. And I am excited about this for multiple reasons. For one, I have two of Kim Kranz's decks. I have the Wild Unknown Tarot and I have the Wild Unknown Mini Pocket Archetypes deck. And so, of course, the collector's mindset was like, well, I simply need her other decks. And now, of course, that I have three, I'm like, well, I have to get the Animal Oracle, right? Like that's just, I simply must. I must complete the collection. So I'm thrilled to kind of add to my collection, and I like the art style. This has a very similar art style to the Pocket Archetypes. Like it's a blend of collage and drawing and like watercolor and ink work. It looks a lot like, aesthetically, it feels very similar to the Pocket Archetypes, which is a deck that I absolutely love. And also, I just think this is so cool. So it's got this alchemy theme. Alchemy is not something I know anything about. And I have a deck actually that is alchemical. I have I have the Tarot Volatile, which is not necessarily an alchemical deck, really. It's a tarot. It's a pretty faithful Rider-Waite-Smith clone in a lot of ways, but it does have a Vessels suit, and the guidebook kind of talks about alchemy a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I've got some other decks which are also kind of alchemical. Pretty sure alchemy was also one of the keywords in the like Scion archetypes, or sorry, the Scion tarot. Yeah, inspired by the divine feminine, alchemy, and witchcraft. So maybe this is something I could play with. I'm really playing with the idea of like building my own personal curriculums. Recently, I put up a video about my personal Herb Crafters tarot curriculum. I want to study the Herb Crafters as a tarot deck, but also study some herbalism, some herbal astrology or astroherbalism. And now I'm like, maybe I could do like a little mini alchemy course, like study this deck, the Scion sigils, study the Vessels suit of the Tarot Volatile, and make my own little alchemy tarot personal curriculum. That could be fun. But before I run away with myself, I'm so excited about this. I think the hexagon shape is really fun. I think her artwork is gorgeous. And from what I know or what I've read of the guidebook for the Pocket Archetypes Oracle by Kim Kranz, I know that I'm excited to dig into the guidebook for this deck. I literally have opened this, I flipped through it. I have not had time to do anything else other than that. So this is not even a first impressions. This is like a pre-impressions. This is so beautiful, but I'm really excited. So if we take a quick look at the guidebook, we've got about 80 pages before we actually get into the card descriptions. Yeah, so 81 is where the card descriptions start. So the first 80 pages are going to be about the inspiration for the deck, what alchemy is, how it translates into this deck, maybe some spreads, some kind of ideas for using it. I love an experimental kind of tarot style. That's what the whole Tarot Lab is over on Patreon, is kind of experimenting with different facets of tarot. I love this. We've got a set of texts. We've got a bibliography. Again, like I've just said, I love me a study. I love me a personal curriculum. So really enjoying that bibliography there. The origins of alchemy. Oh, I'm so excited to dive into this. When will I have the time? I don't know. I enjoy a Venn diagram, uh, which is really specific. But I've already talked about the fact that I studied archaeology for my master's dissertation. I won't get into it, but I was looking at the way that we categorize and conceptualize disease within a skeletal archaeological context. And Venn diagrams were a big theme. So I have like a trauma bonded connection with a Venn diagram because that was a really hard dissertation to write, but it was really cool. Anyway, I can't wait to get into this. Oh, this is so cool. This is so cool. This is, yeah, probably the deck that I'm most excited about just because it's a whole thing for me to study and for me to get into. So that is the Kim Cran's Wild Unknown Alchemy deck. I'm also really excited to play with the like shape of the cards because the fact that they're hexagons means that they can like have different directions. And I think that's maybe something that is sort of intentional and is in the guidebook. But it's, it's a unique tarot shape in my collection. I don't have anything else like this. When I was laying it out, you could see I was playing with like hexagon shape. And I think that's also just something that's kind of fun and different within my collection that I'm going to enjoy playing with. So there we have it. That is it for decks. I also have two books that I am deeply excited about. We will start with the tarot book, and that is Tarot and Psychology, Spectrums of Possibility by Arthur Rosengarten. The arrival of this book in my hands is a complete mystery to me. Somebody bought it for me. It arrived without a note, without anybody sending me a message saying they'd sent me something, so I am baffled and confused, but nonetheless excited because this is a deck that has been on my wish list for a hot minute. I think I first saw this on Kelly's channel, Kelly Bear, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, this is a book for me. As we've discussed, I'm a big nerd and I love getting into the structure of tarot, the layers of tarot, the different applications of tarot. So this Tarot and Psychology book is right up my street. We've got the Tarot of Psychology, the Psychology of Tarot, empirical studies, and then I think there are some kind of interpretations of the cards as well. There are some case studies in here I saw when I was flicking through it, which is very cool to me. Sort of seeing how it's applied, how this knowledge, how these ideas in this book are applied. Looks like we have some interpretations of reading spreads through this like psychological lens framework, a sequence of cards, lots of psychology and psychotherapy things I don't understand, bibliography, excellent. We love an academic work. Of course, since I'm on this like building my curriculum, building a study kick, I think this book plus some of Drea Bloom's books, because she is a therapist and that is what a lot of her books are about. In fact, the most recent one added to my collection, which I think is her most recent publication, would probably make a really good pair with this book. And then also, I've been wanting to get into some psychology reading, some psychology literature. I've got a book about Carl Jung because I know that there is a lot of overlap between Carl Jung's ideas and the tarot. I know that he talked about the tarot. So that's another little curriculum for myself, is a little tarot and psychology curriculum. So, oh, I'm so excited. Maybe I'm going to take this with me. Maybe this can be my like reading for the flight when I go on holiday. I'm not sure, but I'm deeply excited. So that is tarot and psychology. And then finally, I have this is The Essential Guide to Practical Astrology by April Elliott Kent. I've spoken about this recently in some videos, definitely over on Patreon. I'm loving astrology. I'm getting more and more into astrology. I love blending tarot and astrology. If you have seen any of my decks for the signs videos, then you will know that because I'm talking in those videos, I talk about the like element of the sign, the planetary ruler of the sign, as well as the tarot cards that are associated with that sign. And then I'm choosing decks for each of them based on those factors. So it's like one part curated decks for instance, Libra, and then one part about Libra and about Libra in the tarot. So I'm really proud of that series. I think you should go and watch it. As my birthday gift to me, please go and watch my decks for the sign series because I think I think it's a really cool concept, not to toot my own horn too much. But anyway, this is a book that has been, actually, this book has not specifically been on my radar for a long time, but her other book about transits has been on my radar for a very long time. And then I saw this in a secondhand bookshop, and it was my birthday. So my partner very kindly bought it for me. And I think it's going to be a really solid book. I really like her writing style from what I've seen. I think truly this does contain a little bit of everything. I have a few astrology books, but they don't cover everything. And also, astrology is one of those things I'm still not exactly finding my feet, but finding my style and finding sources and like teachers that match up with that style. Astrology can be very woo, it can be very love and light, it can be very not practical and not based in practicality or reality. It can be used or approached in a way that is very kind of spiritual bypassy, which is not my vibe. So I'm still kind of finding my feet with where to look for sources. But this seems like I said, like it says, it's practical astrology. And I think it is about how to interpret your chart, transits, houses, planets, things. So I'll be able to kind of action the information in this, I think, based on a quick flick through. Can we see how chunky this book is? It's a big old Bible. It's, what are we? Like 300, nearly 400 pages. We've got a whole list of resources for me to add to my collection. Monthly planner, this looks really cool. So if we take a look at the contents, we can see that like everything truly, it looks like everything is covered to at least some extent, like how to read a chart, the zodiac, the signs, the elements, the houses, the types of houses, because there's like angular, succedent, cadent is like the type of house and what that means, the planets, positive and negative aspects, or not aspects, but positive and negative, or rather, I should say, like helpful and challenging aspects and presentations of the planets, the seasons. And then this is really exciting to me, this like daily planner, monthly planner, yearly planner, long range planner. Predictive astrology is something I'd really like to get into, and as of right now, it baffles and confuses me. I don't know how to do it, but I would like to learn. And this looks like it might be a really good starting place. Yeah, some prediction stuff here as well. And this is the kind of thing that I could Google, but I just really enjoy having a physical Bible to refer to. And it looks like anything I can imagine wanting to like look up is covered in here. I'm sure there's more niche and or advanced stuff, but I'm not there yet. So this looks like a really good kind of reference for me. I've got a few other books that I enjoy, but this looks like it covers pretty much everything that I'm currently thinking about learning. And yeah, I'm really excited to have this and kind of deepen my astrological study, understanding, learning. And there we have it. That is everything. That is everything that has been added to my collection recently. I'm really excited about everything. Can you tell? How many times have I said excited in this video? So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Let me know if you have any of these decks and books, if you would recommend any of these decks and books, if you would like to see more of my kind of putting together study, not guides, but like grouping things into little personal study modules, then watch my herb crafters video and let me know if you'd like to see more content like that, because I could very easily pull together, even just from the things that I've talked about in this video, I could pull together like an astrology little study module. I could pull together a tarot and psychology module, and I could pull together an alchemy and tarot module. The Tarot Magpie University is coming soon, perhaps. In the meantime, if you want to see more from me, do check out my Patreon. There is a link in the description, especially if you're into studying. If you're a bit of a tarot nerd, at the moment it is October. We are studying numerology in the Tarot Lab, which means resources and videos and discussion and how to experiment with numerology in tarot. If you're watching this in the future, then don't worry, nothing gets archived. Everything is up and available for you to dig into whenever you join. So there is a link to my Patreon in the description if you would like to join us over there. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.